Cheese making 101, new process. What you want to do is actually pull the cheese off the curd, about actual 1/4 of an inch to an inch thick. Use a knife as you're going. Alright, now what you want to do is have a bowl about triple the size, put it in, make sure it's all equal. Next step is 2 gallons, 2.5 gallons of hot water into a pot. Okay, turn the water on, about 2.5, 3 gallons. You're going to add about 3 cups of salt or until the water becomes very cloudy. Alright, next step is you're going to add hot water from the faucet right onto the cheese. You want to cover it about 2.5 inches. Okay, now what you're going to do not touch the cheese. You're going to use a metal paddle to move it around. This is the tempering stage. What's going to happen is it's going to bring up to room temperature. And then the next sink, you're going to add cold water onto a 600 hotel pan. Fill it all the way up. Once the water comes to the boil on the stove, you're going to take this and take out the water very slowly without losing any of the curd. Leave a little water inside. Turn your hot water back on. Get it nice and hot. We're going to add about a cup of salt directly onto the cheese. Add the hot water. Now you're going to get the hot water off the stove, boiling. And you're going to pour this right on into the cheese. Once you do that, shut the water off. Okay, now what you're going to do, you are going to start mixing the cheese with a metal paddle, starting to incorporate it back together. Do not touch it with your hands at this point. You want to do it nice and slow with the hot water. Some people do have a tendency to take out all the buttermilk. Your water is nice and clear. Cheese is coming together very nicely. Alright, if the water is too hot, what you're going to do is add some cold water to it. And keep it running on the side. Dip your hands into the cold water and you want to bring it together like you're doing taffy without squeezing it. Once you get to this point, cheese is pretty much together. You want to drain some of this water out to get all the small pieces. Very slowly without losing any cheese. Once it comes out, you want to lift it up. You see all the small pieces on the bottom. Still folding it over. Do not push it together. Once you hit this point, you want to get your metal paddle and start stretching it. You will stretch it until you see lines coming in. Now what you want to do is you want to stretch it until you get the consistency and the lines in the cheese. The more you stretch, the harder it gets. As long as you do not collapse the cheese, it'll still stay nice and soft. All the butter fat still inside the cheese, your water is still white. The process is correct. Once you do that, you take your cold water, incorporate it into a pan at a slow speed, lift up your cheese. You want to fold it over what size you want the balls. Once you get the size, cut it with your finger, together and squeeze the bottom. Now what you're going to do is keep each mozzarella ball into the water for about 2 to 3 minutes. Bring the temperature down to about 98 degrees, internal temperature. Shut the water off. And on a separate table, plastic wrap, ample amount of size. You take your mozzarella ball, center it. Top is the bottom. Rip it off. Squeeze all the air out and turn it. This will keep the shape round to a point. Insert in a tray. Do not let it touch water. It will cool down naturally. This cheese you can put in a refrigerator at 36 degrees and it will not get hard. And that's your final product, already set up in trays.